My name is Elena Efimova. I'm the training manager of the QARP, and I'm happy to welcome you here. It is our first webinar of the series, The Challenges of GCP. How are you doing? I wonder where our audience is from. So could you please share in the chat? For example, I'm in Barcelona right now. How about you? You are very welcome to find the chat. Great, South Africa. Karen, nice to meet you. Mumbai, India, Armenia. Great. Somerset, UK. Istanbul, wow. India, Germany. We are happy to see you here. Please pay attention that our session is recorded. And you are most welcome to ask your questions in the chat. If you have any questions on the course contents or maybe the question related to our today's topic, please write them in the chat. And when it is time for questions and answers, our expert will answer them. Before we actually start, oh, Georgia, great. Before we actually start, I need to say that our session today is special. Today, we are welcoming all the guests, and we will also briefly introduce ourselves as the QARP training team. But all our further sessions will be available only for the course trainees. I mean, the course, the GCP challenge. So let's start our session with a small cartoon telling you how we came to creating this course.
In 2020, as the world grappled with the COVID-19 pandemic, Maxim was determined to improve the quality of clinical trials. He knew that the traditional GCP training needed a revolution to be more engaging and true to life. Maxim soon met Oleg, who shared his vision and brought 20 years of experience in clinical trials and training. Together, they were joined by two Alinas, who designed the training and created content, including captivating cartoons. They realized that the experts already knew a lot, so they needed to teach something real and challenge the trainees. Inspired by cinematography, one of the Alinas suggested a clinical movie festival to deliver the GCP training. Oleg applauded the idea, and Maxim agreed it was a great way to evoke emotions and encourage learning. Our goal was to provide the necessary knowledge to make clinical trials more efficient and safe during the pandemic and ever. We are happy to support you in your studies, answer your questions and get your feedback. And we wish you all the best in your careers.
Now we know more about the QARP and how we all came to this training. I would like to introduce myself and to tell you that I am the training program manager and the training designer of the course. I'm specialized in learning and development, and this course is pure e-learning, but we also do some blended learning courses, some classroom training. And besides GXP training, we also have some experience in project-specific training. We believe that we can also bring it to a new level of quality and make it time and cost efficient and make it really enjoyable. So this course, the GCP challenge, is designed for professionals with experience in clinical trials, because we are not teaching you from scratch or making you read the ICH GCP R2 aloud. You already know it, but we can teach you something from the real life experience of our experts And we also encourage you to reflect on your experience and share your thoughts. Besides, it is made for those who want to get recertified, as we still ask you to do the tests, which are difficult but necessary for us to certify that you do know GCP and can practice in clinical trials. This course is also for those busy people who have little spare time but want to learn. The course can be done both on your PC and your mobile phone, but we suppose that you are most likely to use the latter, and we designed the course more adjusted for the mobile app. However, your progress will be saved and you can continue on the other device you have. Besides, the course is meant for those who like to decide how much they need to learn. You can skip some reading if you know the material backwards and forwards. It is still up to you to decide how much you want to read. But please remember the tests. And of course, this course is designed for the heroes of clinical trials and those people who help the humanity to get better medication. And we have designed the course with gratitude. We value your time, we respect your expertise, and we're happy to assist you and offer you a training that might be more engaging and lively. And also, thanks to the cartoons we have created. We would like you to smile, think, learn, and apply the knowledge in your practice. In this course, you can find texts about particular cases and situations where you need to know how to act to stay compliant. You can find cartoons on GCP, and those cartoons are inspired by the movies we like, and maybe you also like those movies. There are also quizzes to encourage your activity and check your knowledge. There are open question forums for you to share your experience, to think on it, to structure it, and to share it with us if you feel like it. There is a possibility to send us comments and feedback, and we're happy to get them and happy to reply. And besides, of course, you will get your certificate in GCP, which is valid for 3 years. So, have you recognized yourself and your needs and your thoughts in the description? Are you ready for a challenge? If you are, and if you have, then please join our GCP challenge course and we will assist you in your journey. Now I would like to introduce our expert, the author of the texts and materials of our course, Oleg Shevaldashev. Dr. Shevaldashev has a lot of experience and he decided to share it with our trainees. And he will introduce himself and then it is his time to give the lecture and then answer all your questions. Let me remind you that you can ask the questions in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Elena. Thank you, everyone. And hello, everyone. You can see on this slide a lot of text about myself, but long story short, I'm acting as the Quality and Training Director at the CARP, which is a great pleasure for me. And before that, I had more than 20 years of GCP CRO experience and did a lot of things related to quality assurance and including different things related to both auditing and also the process improvement and issues and risk management and serious risk management and so on and so forth. And I was happy to speak and present at the RQA and MCC events, and I am the author of some of the training courses at the CARP, including this training course, the GCP Challenge course. Now, as we heard how Maxim's dream came true with this course, I would like also to share how my dream came true with this. And with some years that I've been involved in the issues and kappa management, I had a dream to be able to convert this quite complex issue and kappa management process flow, including the different types of the actions, into something more understandable. And at some point, the CARP had a training course that was touching this topic. And together with the CARP team, I managed to convert this quite complex flow chart into a 5 minutes cartoon touching the different types of actions and to some extent the root cause analysis. So my dream came true as well, not only Maxim's. Thank you, CARP, for that. Now I want to stop sharing my presentation, and I would like to share with you one of our cartoons that we have developed for our GCP Challenge course that is based on the movie. I hope you will be able to recognize what movie it is about, and if not, I will tell you in the end. So let me quickly share the cartoon.
Another day, another monitoring visit. But where's our fearless leader? Radar, have you seen Colonel Potter?
She's in surgery, sir. Been there all day.
Again? I haven't seen her in weeks.
You know the Colonel, sir. Always busy saving lives.
And who's saving our study?
Don't worry, Hawk. We've got everything under control.
That's right. I personally review all the source documents.
That's great, but it's not PI oversight. We need the Colonel's Jane Potter on these forms.
Are you saying we're not capable?
No, I'm saying we're not compliant.
Okay, now we have seen an example of our cartoon that is a part of our course, and I believe you recognize the mesh, the series of funny series, comedian series of the Korean War surgeons, and that's one of the elements we have used for ourselves for our course. Now let me go back to my presentation, and now we're going to talk. You might have recognized that the cartoon about the mesh was about the PI oversight, and today we're going to talk about a similar but not exactly the same topic. So we're going to augment a little bit our course with the next topic, which is the PI replacement. And actually, let's start with a quick question. Is this a problem that we need to replace CPI? And the answer is yes and no. The no is because things like this do happen and they may be unexpected and planned in advance. But also, it may become a problem and become a yes because sometimes they do happen unexpectedly out of the blue. And in fact, let's start from the end. And the main question would be what is needed for a new PI? And long story short, believe it or not, everything. And there is quite a lengthy list of things that is needed prior to the start. Obviously, we need to confirm the proper qualification and training of the new PI. These persons should be selected and approved by the sponsor. This person should also be approved by the institution management, IRB, IC, or regulatory authorities as applicable. And in some cases, it can go that far as a substantial amendment submission, which by not only takes certain efforts to do, but also has its own timelines. So it takes time. Of course, the new PI should have the contract with him or with her, which may also involve the budget considerations and adjustments. Of course, all other relevant essential documents should be updated. And of course, the new person should have proper accesses um, for the systems like IRT, DC, CTMS, etc. And of course, once the new PI starts, they should redelegate their team with a new set of delegation. Now, who can become a new PI? And actually, as you may imagine, there could be different options. But let's start with the basics. So, of course, this person should be properly qualified, and this should include the experience in a therapeutic area of the study, the experience in clinical trials, and in some jurisdictions, it's even required that they should have the PI experience as the one of the prerequisites to become a PI. And don't ask me how a new PI can become a PI if they had never been a PI. So still, this catch-22 happens from time to time. And of course, this person should have the proper GCP training and certification. And of course, as you may imagine, there are at least two major options for the candidates. And obviously, probably the ideal would be one of the current sub-investigators if they exist there in the study team. And of course, if there is no current sub-investigator, so for whatever strange reason, neither of the current sub-investigators can be selected and approved as a new PI, it could be another external person. And of course, you may imagine that for the current sub-investigators, the onboarding can be quicker and smoother because they already trained on the study and they had been involved in the study conduct up to now. While if we need to bring a completely brand new person to take the PI role, we may need to train them for the study from the scratch, including the potential to need to run a full SIV site initiation visit. Now, let's discuss the frequent scenarios. So scenario one is the one that we want actually is that the PI replacement is planned and expected, and that the current PI can arrange for the smooth transition and continue the PI oversight while the new PI being onboarded, approved, and so on and so forth. But this is a good scenario, as you may imagine. Of course, there are cases when this is unplanned, unexpected, and it may happen like the PI sudden unavailability, including the disease, death, move, and so on and so forth. And of course, those are the example of something coming out of the blue. And the main challenges here is that while the new PI is being selected, approved, onboarded, trained, and so on, there is a gap in the formal oversight, while the informal PI oversight is still needed, while not fully officially possible. There is another scenario that is kind of actually a mix of both. It's the temporary PI, and again, it can be both planned or unplanned. And again, planned if the current PI is known to take, for example, a sabbatical or a lengthy trip, and they can get prepare their replacement, and once they're back, they will transition the PI role back from the temporary PI to the main PI, if you wish. And of course, the same can occur unplanned, like I already mentioned, if it's a kind of a disease, and we know that this type of disease usually lasts X number of weeks or months, and then we can expect the current PI back. And of course, this usually applies when the current PI absence is expected for a certain time period. So for normal vacation, it rather not necessary to run a full PI replacement exercise. However, saying that it may still be applicable for the short and quick studies, like for example, phase 1 or B equivalent studies, when even the couple of weeks of PI absence may make a difference. And in those circumstances, the replacement for the temporary PI may be necessary. Okay, what's next? Now let's consider that tricky situation when we're in the between of PI. So the old PI is already gone for whatever reason. We no longer can rely on them, and the new PI is still ongoing, still undergoing all those rounds of approvals, reviews, and so on and so forth. So what happens in these circumstances? Should we allow the site, actually not having the proper PI oversight, enroll new subjects? That's a good question. Probably it would better to stop until we have the new PI fully up and running. Of course, it will be inevitable and absolutely necessary to continue care of any current subjects, and this is where the new PI will have to apply their PI role or sub-investigator role if they are current sub-investigator, and make sure that the subject safety rights and well-being are protected, and the site continues to produce the study data of relevant quality. Whether any current subject should be early terminated, this is a tricky thing, and I'd rather consider it's on a case-by-case basis, because if, for example, if it's one of the current sub-investigators who already knows what the study is about, maybe it doesn't make sense, and it's in the best subject's interest to continue the study, and also in the best study's interest to continue in the study. But if it's a completely new person, or there is no physician, whether a PI or sub-I available, this will be probably an inevitable situation as well. And just to repeat, the challenge for this new PI is in this in-between period is that they are not formally allowed to do everything as a PI yet, because they're not formally approved, selected, contracted, and so on and so forth. But they still have to maintain the oversight to remain compliant as an investigator, especially if there are any ongoing subjects in the study at this site. Now, couple of tips. Of course, have a process. If you're a site and you're, for example, a site with multitude of ongoing and planned clinical studies, you better have an SOP at a site level of what you're going to do and in which circumstances you're going to do to replace the PI. Or if you're a sponsor or CRO or another vendor actually managing the sites, like maybe a SMO, consider the same SOP for the PI replacement on your sponsor or CRO or SMO level, so that if at any of your sites, even a small practice, you have the situation that the PI replacement is coming, you know what to do and when. If possible, plan in advance. Again, if you already know, say, months in advance that the old PI is going to step down, of course you can start early, and by the time the old PI is gone, the new PI will be up and running, and the transition would go smoothly. And of course, apply critical thinking. The one-size-fits-all scenario no longer applies, and what is okay for a phase 1 study maybe not okay for a phase 3 oncology study, or even further, maybe even for specific study in indications that require certain communication between the investigator and the patient, like psychiatry studies. So it's no longer a one-size-fits-all approach. Think carefully, and for some studies do this, and for some other studies do that. And believe it or not, I want to stop here and ask you guys if you have any questions about today's topic, PI's replacement, or if you had already the luck to pass any topic of our GCP challenge course, or if you have any technical questions to our brand new training platform or any of our QRP trainings. So the floor is yours. Any questions, thoughts, concerns? Do we have anything in the chat? Seems like we do.
Do we have anyone here who is a learner, who is already a learner on our course?
Don't we? Come on. Looks like
Hi,
not yet.
this is Wojciech speaking.
Hi.
Yeah.
Actually, what is the point? What is the time point since when we may treat the new PI as a PI? I mean, do we need to have a contract signed? Do we need to have, of course, the ethics committee, yeah. But from formal point of view, when we may say that, of course, the PI, the new PI is approved by sponsor, is qualified, is approved by the ethics committee, and do we need to have the contract signed? Because usually the contract is a weak point.
Yes, you're right, and you're absolutely right. This is the weakest point, the longest point in many countries, but unfortunately, we do need the contract before the PI may formally start, and that's why this in-between story is important. So they may have everything except one thing, still not be formally the PI, but still they have to do the PI work because they have to. So yes, you're right. We need everything. Does that answer your question?
Yes, that's what I meant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question, Wojciech. We have more questions in the chat, Oleg.
Okay,
Shall I
let's
read them
see.
or can
No,
you see them?
I can see them. Okay, if patients
Great.
should be informed on PI change, of course. Whether it should be done through the full reconsent or it can be done in a simplified way, it may depend on the subject's population, on the study indication, on the IRB IEC SOPs. Excuse me. So indeed, it could be the fully blown new ICF. It will be a fully blown new ICF for any new subjects, but for ongoing subjects, it may be sometimes sufficient, like maybe one-page statement, dear patient, this is to inform you that Dr. Smith is no longer your PI, but Dr. Jones is now your PI, and this is their contact information. Of course, this document should be properly approved by the ethics committees and any other approvers. So yeah, the all ongoing subjects should be informed. Yes, it may be not necessary to inform the subjects who have already completed the study, unless there is a kind of long-term follow-up. But those subjects would still be considered as ongoing. Okay, hope this answers your question, Daria. And then we have a question from Rivati. If there is no co-I in the study, but suddenly PI has expired unexpectedly, what we can do for the upcoming visit? Meanwhile, period of if there are ongoing subjects and there is no physician in the study, I'm afraid you're doomed to actually terminate all the subjects. This is a very unfortunate situation, I know. And if there is if there is a physician who can step in early, quickly, and you have the special case that this is not an investigator who is already familiar with the study, but there is a kind of physician, if they indeed can step in quickly, then if I were in your shoes, I would definitely discuss it with the sponsor and with the ethics committee. Bring this investigator physician in if it's possible, if the sponsors agrees and the ethics committee agrees. Train them quickly as soon as you can to allow this new physician, new investigator to take care of any ongoing subjects. Of course, I would stop enrollment at this site until this person is fully approved and up and running, contracted, and so on. But at least this physician could support the subject's care in the meantime, if it is approved by everyone. But this is your case is the most unfortunate, the most tricky. So sudden disappearance of the current PI and no other investigator already involved in the study. So you're starting from the scratch in a very, very, very short period of time, and potentially during the very sensitive period of the study, if there are ongoing subjects, especially requiring specific activities during the visits. Okay. Wojciech, hi, I recall a situation when indeed PI was suddenly unavailable. There was no other SI. Holiday, national coordinator. Yeah, that's a good point. You can try to involve anyone else from the same country, meaning the person speaking the same language as the subjects, and obviously as the site personnel. Of course, this needs to be urgently approved, at least by the sponsor. Ideally, you should get the approval from the ethics. Of course, they will take ages to do that, but at least you need to notify them. But yes, this person is, if it's a national coordinator, they definitely would know the study. They wouldn't, of course, know the specifics of this particular site, but this is better than nothing. And after other SIs are back from their vacation, they can step in at least as a temporary PI until the new PI is identified. Okay, if coordinating PI could be temporary PI and oversight the site. Well, that's one of the options. Maybe not perfect, but this is the situation. Correct. Yes, the national coordinator is approved by the EC as the coordinator, but not necessarily as the PI, knowing your localities, your way of working, your modus operandi at that particular site. So they do know the study, but they do not know the site. They, of course, do not know the subjects. And again, things may differ. Imagine you have the oncology study when everything is about the labs, your imaging, the ECGs, the MUGA, and so on and so forth, versus your psychiatry study, where even the contact between the subjects and the new investigator may be a certain stress. So it's, the more your study is relying on objective ways of data collection, as I mentioned, like labs, imaging, and so on, maybe the less you would be worried about the personal chemistry, if you wish, between a new PI and whoever else, like subjects or the site team. And on the contrary, the more it is on the human relations interactions, like pain studies, like psychiatry studies, the more difficult it will be. That's why I demand you guys apply critical thinking. This is where your brain is needed, not the artificial intelligence. Your natural intelligence is needed. Any other questions? Thank you, everyone.
And maybe you have something to add to our lecture. Today it is relatively short. Our next lectures will be longer because we won't take the time for introduction.
And
But
maybe
maybe you
just to
have
give
something
you,
to add.
sorry, Elena, I just wanted maybe to advertise a little bit our webinars. The idea is not to repeat what we have in our GCP challenge course. The idea of these webinars is to augment them, to complement them, because as Elena started her introduction early on, the idea of this course is not to read you the GCP aloud. You know it by heart already anyway. The idea of this GCP challenge is indeed to challenge you to show you what we have experienced during our lifetime and gain some information. Maybe you had experienced something during your lifetime. And those webinars, we will have the experts who also share their experience, not repeating or maybe sometimes touching, but not fully repeating the content of the course. We will always be adding on, not recycling the knowledge. Hope it makes sense.
However, you can always ask questions about the information you found in the course,
Of
the
course.
tests, the parts of GCP you have doubts about. And right now
course.
you have the chance to ask any GCP question because Oleg is the author of the big course. By the way, if you'd like to join the course, here you can find the link in the chat. And we will be happy to welcome you there. The course consists of e-learning modules. And besides, you can have additional lectures once a month because we have 12 topics. We have 11 and a half topics in the course.
Right.
And we have 12 sessions planned.
11 and a half. Today is the half.
Yes, today is the half, exactly. Which I hope will repeat next year because some students will join us later. Maybe they will join us in January or February or March, and they should also have the opportunity to have the 12 lectures. That's how we make it blended learning. We take e-learning and we add some live sessions.
Right.
So no other questions?
So then we move to our next slide and a couple of words about the CARP Academy. So both Elena and Maxim mentioned that our Barcelona entity is now set up as the academy. So it is more targeted not to auditing, but rather to managing teaching and learning and training. And as we mentioned earlier, we have launched this course. This was our first course on our brand new training platform that is called Rise Up. And as Elena mentioned, it is compatible both with the PC screen and also the mobile screen, and mobile even easier to follow. So you can do your training on the run, on your commute, when you're on the plane. There are features available offline, so you can download things onto your mobile, jump the plane, and when you land in 12 hours on the other side of the world, you already have the GCP training done. So as I said, this is our first course on this platform, but we have the computer system validation training coming on the 10th to the 12th of December. So it will be a 3 days course. In fact, it would be blended learning. There will be the e-course that you or whoever wants to join it would be doing on their pace, and there will be three 90-minute sessions on these days, augmenting the e-course. Also, on this platform, we can do the customized trainings on your demand. So we can do something special for your organization or even for your project, for clinical study projects. So remember, we're always doing the SIV slide decks and the protocol trainings, and they are usually 100, 200, 400 slides length. And of course, the site personnel at some point get bored, and at some point they simply forget that what they were taught in the very beginning. So we have already some experience, and we're going to proceed with this experience further on setting up the project-specific, protocol-specific trainings. Of course, with the cartoons, of course, with gamification, animation, and everything else that Maxim was talking about. And of course, whenever the R3 gets published finally, we'll be happy helping you guys to switch gears from what we used to be with since 1996 when the R1 was first published and through to 2016. So it's already more than 8 years by now of R2. And then we need to completely switch paradigm and see what R3 is going to bring to us. So we'll be building a training course that will be targeted to you guys to those who have already had the experience with GCP before. This would not be reading through R3 from the scratch. We'll be trying to help you switch from Boeing to Airbus or from Airbus to Boeing, depending on what you prefer, so that you know how to fly, but you still need to understand how this plane operates compared to the other plane. So that's our plans. And if you are not tired of our faces yet, this is we again. And here you can see our contact information, and we're very much welcoming you to visit our website and see what courses are there, and we'll be there over time. Over to you, Elena and Maxim, and thank you guys for your attention.
Thank you very much, Oleg. I would like to say that it's not actually our first course on the platform, because we have some other courses there. It's just maybe the first public course besides the one we brought from the other platform. But we've done some project-specific training using this platform, and we find it enjoyable, and our customers as well. So, Revati, thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for your attention, for being with us during this session. I can tell you that all our further sessions will be available for the course trainees. So please make it sure you have secured your seat for the next time, which will take place in December. We will have different speakers, and we will cover all the topics of our course one by one. We like to have the opinion of different experts, so you will have this possibility. And it was really great to see you all. Thank you very much for your attention and your questions. And we are excited to see you among our trainees.